What's up, everyone, and welcome to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. My name is Nick Clark, and I am your host for today's show. Play Hard and Love Big Radio is the official podcast of Spotted Dog Yoga and Sup, based out of Folsom, California. Check us out at spotteddogyoga.com. On Play Hard and Love Big Radio, we're dedicated to bringing you the inspirational people and inspirational stories to help you connect to your center so that you can live a life full of passion and purpose. And today we have a very inspirational guest with us, and I'm so excited to have her on the show. She is Carolyn Olsen, and Carolyn Olsen is a successful businesswoman here in the Boise area, but she's also a Ironman champion, which is super exciting. She just finished 8th in the world in her age group at the Ironman World Championships in Finland. And wow, Carolyn, congratulations, and welcome to Play Hard and Love Big Radio.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I feel very lucky, kismet almost, that I was able to meet you and then be here today.
Yeah, there are no accidents.
I agree with that. I tried to run into you actually doing yoga up at Bogus at one time, but I don't remember. Something in my schedule wouldn't allow me to do it. So I'm thankful that you reached out.
Awesome. Well, hopefully in the future we can do that. Have you done some yoga in your training in the past?
Oh, actually, I've really started to get a lot more into it. And the benefits are incredible. You know, swim, bike, and running, you're constantly using so many different muscles, and that extra time to spend, present in your breath and in the moment and with your body is so powerful. And I found that it's had a ton of benefits for me. So really trying to incorporate it more. We'll say that.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I want to get into that a little bit later when we talk a bit about your training and what you do for your training regimen, because I know that you also have done some visualization and meditation. I'm really interested in understanding how it is that you use that. But to start with, what I'd love to know about is your family business and what you do here in the Treasure Valley in the health and wellness business, and why it is that you love it so much.
Great question. My husband and I actually lived in Houston, Texas. I used to be in jewelry sales. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law had actually purchased a business, and they we acquired California, and they needed a lawyer on hand because the business had gotten really, really big. So they recruited me and my husband from Houston, and they've been expanding. So they have a cool story in themselves. They started 13 years ago with like 10 stores, and now we're up to 135 stores across the U.S. We have locations in Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Wyoming, Montana, Hawaii, Alaska, Kansas, and Oklahoma. So, I just jumped right in with my background, still learning always, right? You get into these positions, and I've done everything from event planning, HR, payroll, management, sales. I mean, you name it. I have telemarketing. Throw me in a department. I have done most of them.
And what is it that you like the most about your business and the people that you work with?
First, with the business, especially being really into wellness myself, giving people the opportunity to hear their families and live life again is massive. I would say that during 2020 with the pandemic, that was a huge time where individuals were learning that they had difficulty communicating with their family members and loved ones, right? So when you read lips and you don't, it's like, you develop that skill when you can't hear well. And when you're forced to have your mouth covered, you can't read lips. So, we were able to help so many people because they're like, I couldn't communicate with my loved ones. I couldn't communicate with my family. And we were able to give them those lives back. So that is why I love what we do here at Miracle Ear, is because we are giving them that gift back. And it doesn't matter what age you are at, you deserve to have that connection piece with life, with your family, whether it's music, just chatting, sports, whatever, everybody deserves to have that connection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's neat. My dad, he's worn hearing aids for quite a long time, and most recently he has the ones that our Bluetooth to his phone as well.
Yeah.
And so which is really neat. But it's funny because before I knew that it was connected to his ears, I'd be sitting there with him at dinner or something like that. And he would pick up a phone call and he would be having this side conversation. I thought he was talking to me, but he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to somebody in his headset, no, but they have definitely tremendously made a huge impact in my dad's life and my ability to communicate and connect with him. And I think that that's really neat that you're doing that for people.
Yeah, and the industry's grown so much. My grandfather had hearing difficulties growing up, and I was just so used to, I'm sure that you remember this, but like old hearing aids, they were so visible. They looked like big cashew nuts in people's ears, and you'd get close to somebody and they have this like weird feedback, and that's just really a thing of the past. So like that vanity aspect has really been torn away. So there's basically no reason why people shouldn't be getting help. I mean, people wear headphones constantly and they almost look identical. So, it's a fabulous, those videos on the internet are real. You put a husband and a wife in a room that were like on the brink of divorce because they cannot communicate, and you give them that ability back. It's just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, speaking of husband and wife, you and your husband, Mike, work together in the business, and then just in general, you work together. I know one of the things I really appreciate is when I'm watching when you're doing your races and he's updating the Instagram channel and he's like, Carolyn is here and hopefully Carolyn's got this last burst in her and all these different things, what is it like integrating your entire life with Mike? Sometimes I heard him, some people call him Big Mike, but I don't know him yet. So I don't know if I could call him Big Mike, but what is it like integrating your life with Mike, and what has he meant to you in your journey?
I really appreciate you asking that question because it's always good to acknowledge your partner, everything that you've done with your wife too, right? And, Mike and I just have an absolute love and drive for more. We want to see how far we can go. And, when I first met Mike, he was in bodybuilding and I did Ironman stuff. And he's like, let's go for a run. And he was like, holy crap. Like, I thought I was in good shape, but this girl is like next level. So, it's really fun having that. And he's challenged me. I've done 2 bikini competitions. There's always just something new, specifically him. He's constantly looking into different things and expanding his mind, expanding his activities so that he can have fun and challenge himself. But we work really well together. And I think it's because, number one, I believe in him so much. I truly believe that anything he puts his mind to, he can do it. And before, I have support of my family and support of, my friends, but there's just something that Mike believes in me so implicitly. Like, I'm like, oh, that girl's so fast. She's so fast. I could never be that fast. He's like, you can absolutely be that fast. So, it's been a beautiful ride, I guess we can say. We've seen the world together. We've experienced and discovered new things that we love together. And we've been through all these different challenges with the business and, not having our passports ready to go to France. We've really had to troubleshoot and figure things out together. And he is just my rock, my number one supporter. And I don't know what I would do without him.
Yeah, it's really great. No, same with me. Katie has always been there to support me and to prepare me and set me up for success in the things that I've been doing and to lift me up when I'm down, like, oh my gosh, those times when I'm just frustrated and doesn't feel like things are working. She's always seems to be there as a backbone for me to lift me up and keep us moving forward. And I feel like I'm the same for her. So it's really great to hear that. It's great to hear your relationship is like that with Big Mike.
Big Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to meeting him. So let's talk about your triathlon career and some big news that you just got a couple weeks ago. You've now moved from the amateur ranking to the professional ranking. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny. That's actually a really unique story in itself. Last year that was like my big goal. I came out swinging hard. I won Ironman Texas. I won 70.3 Finland. I just knocked it out of the park last year. And, we had some familial things that happened, some things in the business. And, I actually gave up on that dream for several months. And Kona was really hard for me last year. I thought I could go into Kona and deliver, and I just did not deliver on that day. I think it was really hard for everybody. So now in retrospect, I have a lot of grace for myself in that. But, I did give up on that dream for a good, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So like 10 months, 11 months, almost a year.
Yeah.
But, I think that I have some really good friends. Obviously, my coach has always been a champion for me, and another local triathlete, Danielle Lewis, and her husband, Andrew. And then I use a mental coach as well named Brandon. And, they just kind of brought up to me, they're like, Carolyn, this dream was not so long ago. And I think that question and that phrasing was super interesting to me, because I thought that I had pushed it out of my mind. I'm like, I can just continue to be like an elite amateur and throw myself into work and, go that route. But then when somebody was like, why would you give up on a dream? And it wasn't very long ago. Like, yes, something happened and life changed its course for just a moment, but that doesn't mean you should ever give up on your dreams. So, with my support system, Mike, too, I was able to do that. And I get a race next month in Cabo for my very first professional race, and achieve something that I've wanted to do for a very, very long time that I wasn't even sure was able to happen.
There's so much power in community.
Yeah.
Just
small
having
circle
people
of friends, right?
Right, exactly. People that are there that know what you're capable of, even sometimes when you don't believe that in your own capabilities or you forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so what is the difference moving from being an amateur athlete into a professional athlete in triathlon?
The main difference is that you get a start before everybody. So there's better placement. It's cooler during the day. And then you're racing for money. So that's pretty nice. It's a more competitive, in the amateur field, it can get very crowded on the course. So there's more opportunity for, being closer to people. So it's more challenging. It's that more head-to-head combat, I guess you can say that it is, because that's what it is. But in amateur, you kind of self-seed. So you can start at the front, and then you can kind of be a leader, or you can start from the back and be a chaser. So, I personally like to be a chaser. I don't like being hunted. I like to do the hunting. So, my swim is not my strong suit. So, if I'm in the front, then I'll immediately drop to the back, and then I have to catch up again. So I actually kind of like to start from the back and make my way up. But in the professional field, it basically is forcing me to like, hey, I'm going to have to get a whole lot better at all three disciplines so that, I don't have to play that game. I just want to be in the game.
Yeah, totally. And so what are you doing to prepare yourself to up your game in the three modalities of triathlon?
It's funny because I was just listening to your Comfortably Numb podcast earlier, and there were so many things that came up for me as an amateur. There's those things that you can, I guess I could say, like a skip things. It's not as challenging, but I obviously, being so new, I don't want to make an idiot out of myself. So it's really fine tuning the small things, right? So, how good am I racing in my wetsuit? How many times am I swimming in my wetsuit or my swim skin to make sure that that's going to be good? Are my transitions good? Transitions are really, really important. I don't want to be too slow and lose time in there to make myself look silly. So I guess it's the devil's in the details. And, it's like those times where you can sit and veg out and watch TV and like be numb or scroll. I'm trying to either utilize that time for stretching, doing some simple activities, mobility activities, so that I can be constantly working on my mind and my body so that I can continue to fine tune my skills. And that's been a really, really important part of upping up my game. And then also being uncomfortable, doing workouts that I can't do, going to failure and being okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that a lot of people, they're not even willing to put themselves in the position to go to failure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's like that's the whole comfortably numb thing, right? It's like, no, I'm cool right here. This is good. Everything's great. I'm happy. I've got what I need. I'm just going to stay in my little cocoon. And then from that point, they really get stuck, and it limits their ability to grow.
It does. And, I think that's where, I know you talked a little bit about like affirmations and visualizations and meditation. That's something I'm really into, because like a great example is this morning I was on my swim, and again, my swim is not my strong suit. I'm really working hard to get there. And, as you're trying to get faster, it's big muscle speed and you're tired. You hit the wall, and sometimes you have seconds to turn around and shoot back to the other side. And I kept having to remind myself, like, I can do hard things. This is hard. I can do hard things. And just kind of repeating those things to yourself. So if you're trying to change your life, it's going to be hard. Vegging out in front of the TV and moving your butt is hard when you're not used to acknowledging that. And sometimes it's just having that acknowledgement and awareness that, yeah, I scroll a lot right before bed. Like, yeah, I munch on Doritos. Like, yeah, I do that. And you just kind of have to take a step back and be like, changing is hard, and really acknowledge that.
Yeah, totally. Awareness is the birthplace of possibility, right? It's some kind of cliche, but it's so true. It's like, you don't have an awareness of what you're doing, then you'll just keep doing what you're doing.
100%.
Yeah. And the other thing it reminds me of is something that we speak to a lot in our trainings. We teach teachers to teach yoga, and it is that your words create your world. Whether your words spoken or unspoken create your world. So what you say out loud or what you say to yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you're using affirmations as a way to empower yourself from your awareness of what you're doing, so that you can create some shift.
I really think that's a powerful thing that you said, Nick. I'm really training myself to be intentional with my word. And I love how you brought up the unspoken word too, because it really does matter. What you say really matters, and how you say it. So yeah, the affirmation part of it is extremely important, and how you communicate with others in the same way.
Something that makes me curious about is what it's like when you're pushing yourself to the limit like you do. Because obviously you're human and you have conversations with yourself. Are there times when you're just absolutely beating yourself up with your words? And you're what is it like going through that process?
Well, it's interesting, because in the Ironman, you have like 10 hours to talk to yourself.
It's you versus you, right?
Right. So,
yeah.
And things happen. One thing in Ironman is, again, these are 4.5-hour races, 10-hour races. A lot of things can happen in that time frame. You can pop a tire, your chain can fall off, you can lose your hydration, your nutrition. There's a lot of variables that can happen to you. The wind can pick up, it can rain, it can, right? There's a million things. So that self-talk is super important. Absolutely. I remember I in the World Championships in St. George in 2021, there was this huge storm that blew in. Huge. And I'm sitting there looking at dark. It's raining on us. And there was this girl next to me, and I was like, do we get off our bikes? Like, I saw people getting off their bikes, just pulling over. And I'm like, is this safe to do this? And, my mind is like, do I stop? Do I go? You have these self-talks. And this girl rode up beside me, who's a very good friend of mine now. She was a huge competitor at that race. And she's like, sister, let's go. And I swear to God, we were riding at an angle like this, a total lean. And we would just take turns, with no drafting, going leading. And it's just that self-talk of like, we are doing this, committing to the process. And some of the time you have those doubts, like maybe you should stop. My knee hurts, my hips hurt, my back hurts. And you kind of have these things, but you're like, nope, I'm in this to be a champion today. I didn't sign up to get second. I sign up to get first. And you're going to get your shot, take your shot, shoot your shot, however you want to say it.
Yeah, totally. You've got to battle with it and move through it. That's a pretty interesting story. Wow. Holy moly. Because when the weather comes, it's not like the race is going to stop. The race goes on and you have to figure out how to move through the challenges to get there. It's just like life, right? I mean, life throws things at you that you don't expect.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes at the most unexpected times. And, you have to be able to just take a pause, take a few breaths, reground and restart. Otherwise, your life ends too. Yeah, so it's like, I think racing in a lot of ways seems like a metaphor for life, and the way that you do it, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it you start from, just flipping back a little bit, you were playing collegiate tennis, right? At Boise State.
That's right.
And then how did you end up getting in from playing competitive tennis to triathlon?
This is also a really cool story. So my very good friend, Jen Warbeck now, used to be Wenzel. She was the most talented athlete. I mean, this girl was a little dynamite, teeny little thing. And she was an incredible runner. And we used to be running buddies out, when we played at Boise State. And she asked me if I wanted to go run one morning. And I remember it was 6606 actually, because it was a really bad day. And she was like, and she was also listening to that weird song, I Had a Bad Day, at this very same time.
Oh no.
So she actually, there was a young man that was running late to take his little brother to school, and he ran a stop sign and hit her. Oh. And I'm sorry, it just gives me like chills to this day to like think about that phone call. But essentially it hit her. She broke her femur. And they basically told her she couldn't play tennis again. The chances of functioning normally again were slim to none. And her dad signed up for the inaugural 70.3 in Boise, the half Ironman. And she swam for her rehabilitation. It's very light on the body. Biking is really good for the body. The running was the difficult part, but she was able to be healthy enough and rehabbed enough that her and her dad finished that inaugural 70.3. And just watching that was the most powerful thing I've ever seen in my life. Not only just watching her do it and rehab from where she came from, but there were older people, younger people, bigger people, smaller people. I've seen people without legs, arms, blind athletes, you name it. I've seen it. I've seen people pull their children behind them in rafts in the swim and bike with them and push them. I mean, it is, when they say anything is possible, this sport really brings that. And anytime, kind of going back to the original comment, like anytime you feel sorry for yourself, I see one of the para athletes or somebody doing this stuff, and I'm like, I have absolutely no excuses. Mm-hmm. I get to be here. I chose to be here. Some of these people are, got in an accident and they're coming back from a terrible crash. But going back again, Jen was that catalyst, and watching that very first Ironman, I signed up the next year.
Wow, that just inspired you from seeing her do that, and then from seeing the Ironman community.
Mm-hmm. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that's beautiful. And just like your necklace, and how many times have you done Ironmans now? Can you explain your necklace to everyone? I know we talked about it a little bit, but
yes. So my Ironman, this is also kind of an interesting story. I actually have the Ironman tattoo on my side. And I was going through a really rough time. I dropped out of school. I wasn't doing tennis anymore, so I didn't have anything structured. And I got my Ironman tattoo, and it took me 10 years to actually do a full Ironman. So that was like a huge moment for me, because again, like I'd had so many self-limiting thoughts, and I was like, I could never run a marathon. Like a marathon alone, and then a marathon at the end of one of these things is insane. So I've done 37 half Ironmans, and I've done 4 full Ironmans, 2 in Kona, 1 in Cabo, and 1 in Texas. So I won Texas. And I just did this for me. As soon as I got my professional license, I was like, this is kind of a little symbol for myself, and to see how far I've come, all the limiting beliefs that I've had, and all the crazy things I've accomplished. And that's the thing I also love about the sport is I never thought I would run some sub 7 minute miles in a half marathon. And then I've done it in a race. I just hit a PR 2 weeks ago at a 125. And my friend was like, Carolyn, doing 120s is going to be easy for you soon. I'm like, oh my God. And it just kind of continues to open your mind. I mean, Nick, I'm sure you've seen that with your body and your mind and your practice that, it's like things that maybe you saw them in pictures. You're like, how did that person get in that pose? How is this possible? And then through repetition and hard work, you're that person all of a sudden.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everything that I've ever done has been somewhat like that. I tend to throw myself 100% into things, and which I think is also a really a great quality, as long as the things that I'm throwing myself into are like positive, positive things. The times I've thrown myself 100% into those bad things, it hasn't turned out so well for me. Yeah, but I've done that too. Yeah, but like most recently I got into bow hunting, which was just totally, it wasn't even on my mind up until the end of July, and Katie's cousin invited me to go check it out and do it. And so all of a sudden I had all the gear, and I was hiking up all these trails in Boise with like 70 pounds of weight in my backpack and doing all this shit, and then next thing you know, I'm like hunting elk in the middle of nowhere like this. I didn't know that was possible. So yeah, it's pretty cool what is possible when we put our attention on something.
Yep. What is that saying? Energy or focus goes where your energy flows. Am I saying that backwards? Energy flows where your focus goes.
Something good like that.
Yeah. Essentially, put your attention on something, you usually see the needle move, and you have that change, that translation.
Right. And you have to be for it, like 100%, you put your attention on it and you have to be for it. And, one of the other podcasts that I listened to that you were on, you were talking about how you have to really cut out the things that don't serve you in relationship to creating your goals and your dreams, and sometimes that's people. Like sometimes you have to cut out people, or you have to cut out different types of food or, activities so that you can achieve your dreams and goals. Can you talk a little bit about how that's occurred for you as your career has developed? Like what have you had to cut out in order for you to create what you've created?
Well, I think that when you're really committed to something, sacrifice is always part of the game, right? And, I would say my husband always likes to say that hard work beats talent every time. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that I'm the most talented. I mean, I definitely have gifts, or else I wouldn't be here. But, I have a really weird run gait. Like I have a flip in my foot, and I wiggle when I swim, and have these really weird things. And, I've always told myself that if I can have that self-discipline and give things up, I don't stay out late. I very, very rarely drink. I don't participate in parties. I'm in bed early. I definitely need 8 hours of sleep a night, or I'm a very angry Carolyn. And that doesn't serve anybody here at my office or friendship wise, or my husband. He's like, oh my God, somebody give this girl a nap and get her some food. But yeah, the sacrifice there is real. And then, if people aren't serving you, I mean, I think that having a low stress, my job is very stressful. My workouts are very stressful on the body. So kind of eliminating those stress. And I'll tell you, that's the hardest part, is eliminating those stressors from your life. But my circle is very, very small. I choose not to have very many friends because I need focused, driven people who are like-minded like me. And business people, I really enjoy people that have a business sense, because I am an athlete and business. So most of my friends are other coaches. You're a coach, and I can kind of use their experience to help me with my athletics. But yeah, I mean, it's very small circle. I'm really boring, but when you look at where I go and what I've done a lot. But in terms of social stuff, I'm not like, hey, I'm the life of the party. I'm like, bye, it's 10 o'clock.
Or it's like, hey, it's 9 o'clock and I got to go to the gym and get my swim in,
Yeah,
right?
that too.
Yeah, because it's a lifestyle that you've chosen, and it's not just like a one-off. I think, with our studio, one of the biggest challenges that people have when they're starting is staying committed and staying disciplined and making it a lifestyle, not just trying it as a one-off. Like, oh, I'm going to try this studio as a one-off, or I'm going to try this gym as a one-off, but actually throwing themselves in and staying committed to it and disciplined to a new lifestyle, a new way of being. What would you say has been useful for you as a tool or tools to create that lifestyle shift and to keep discipline and stay disciplined?
I think that's a really good question. And I'm trying to figure out how to communicate to people to get help. And I think that the reason why I said that the way that I did is because I feel like you have to have a profound moment in your life, or one of those aha moments where you're like, I deeply want this. And it's really easy for people to not have skin in the game. Like, for instance, my husband, it was like $20 to sign up for the Fit One, any of the things like 5K, 10K, half marathon, whatever. So our company paid for it. But if you don't have skin in the game, most people won't commit. So people have to get to that point where they actually go, I want change now. And it's very hard to talk to people because there's so many layers into getting what people want. So specifically for me, I had just dropped out of school. I did not have tennis. I basically lost my friend group and, all those connections that I had through the university. And I was so depressed. And just watching my friend do this race, I was like, that's what I want to be a part of. And it was this shift. I'm like, I don't want to be this depressed, drag ass person anymore. I would like to be like, I saw those girls out there and I'm like, that's what I want. So, going in terms of commitment and those things, you have to want it. And what is the skin in the game for you that you have to continue that progress? And one of the best things I did recently was like a 7-day challenge. And I know it takes far longer than that to create a habit, but like, commit to one thing, and that success, that feeling you get from success in those 7 days is so powerful. I mean, whether it's just like, hey, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes briskly in the morning, stick to it for 7 days, and you just have this like elated feel that I did this. And then you kind of like keep going. You're like, okay, well, maybe 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. And then continue to shift. And I think it takes baby steps. But, I think, Nick, it's a very good topic of conversation. I'm curious what you have to say. It's just like, how do you get people to really like deeply want that change?
Yeah, I mean, Katie and I were talking about this a little bit earlier because when we moved from California to Idaho, it was a lot. We had, our 2 young kids, our 2 dogs, and we would drive back and forth between Folsom and Boise to run the business and to get our stuff here, and like all in this transition of trying to keep our team motivated and keep our clients from leaving because we were leaving, and all this different stuff.
Right.
And so the first thing that we did, and the first thing that I think a lot of people do, is they stop taking care of themselves. We stopped taking care of ourselves, and it really took its toll on us, on our energy and the way we felt, and how excited and passionate we were about everything that we were doing. It's almost like the level of energy just dropped a whole lot. And then something happened where, like you said, we started to take baby steps. Like, okay, let's just get out on a walk. Let's take the boys out on a walk with us. Like, we started to create a routine, and then ultimately, and in an answer to, like, a little bit of an answer to your question, because it is a great topic, is that I feel like I discovered personally a why. Like, what again, that's kind of cliche, but like, why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing, and what is it that I'm working for, and why do I want to do what I'm doing, and who am I impacting through that? And that why for me has most definitely been my kids. You know, like I look at them and everything that I say and most of the things that I do and half the things that I wear, they want to do that too. You know, if we're on the trampoline jumping and I take my shirt off, the next thing I know, I look over and both my boys have their shirt off, you know? So
that's a superhero.
yeah, right. Like in a tied around. Yeah, we've done that too. I mean, tie the shirt around my neck and run around the house like a superhero. They do that too. Whatever I'm doing, they do, you know? And so, you know, I think that you're right, though. I mean, people don't care about their health until it's gone, that kind of thing. And if people can just get, you know, dig through the layers and look a little bit deeper and, you know, realize like what's in it for them if they take care of themselves and then they improve their overall health long term, like what could be possible, you know, for them and for the future generations, that kind of thing. You know?
You know, I found it really interesting what you said right there. You know, you were like, me and my wife started like neglecting ourselves. And I feel like a very good first question to people are like, are you legitimately happy? Like mentally and physically? Like it's just like an easy self-check question. Like, do you have negative thoughts during the day? You know, how are you eating? Just like, again, going back to that awareness and just really like thinking about that. And if the answer is no, why? What are you saying to yourself? Again, take stock of what are you putting in your body. Is it Monster, energy drinks, sugar, you know, venti, pumpkin spice latte?
I was going to say that too.
But you know, take stock in those things. And then again, you will not make that change until you really are like, am I okay in this space? And asking yourself that question is so deeply important. And again, that's the thing where I took my pro card and I was like, would I be okay not taking advantage of this? Maybe I'm going to crash and burn. I don't know. But goddamn, I'm not going to get to the end of my life. And I wasn't going to sit there in that moment and say I wasn't going to take it.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to sit back and wonder.
Yep. So I think just asking just very simple questions of yourself and like writing it down and like really bringing it to light, because so many people go, I have a problem, but they don't do anything about it. So I almost think that like just verbalizing it, putting it down on paper makes it real. Like, am I good at saving my money? Am I good at taking care of myself? You know, putting it down and making it real makes you want to make change.
I love that. It's so true that, I mean, we can have these conversations in our head all the time, but until you really put it out on paper or verbalize it, it doesn't become real. It's just like, it's a tape that's being replayed in your head always. Mm-hmm. Right. But then you put it on paper, like you're saying, and it becomes objective. You can look at it and you can say, oh yeah, these are the thoughts that I'm having. And boy, these thoughts are serving me. And these thoughts are absolutely not serving me.
Bingo.
No, I think, yeah. You know, the other part of it too, and I know you'll have something to say about this too, is I think having faith in other people and in coaches and mentors has been really valuable for me. You know, like when I hear someone say something to me, or I get some sort of feedback from someone, you know, or I'm offered some sort of advice or some coaching, it's been really valuable for me to put it in. And I know in your line of work, both you know, your business work and also as a triathlete, that you have coaches and mentors. Could you speak to the value of coaching and mentoring and creating a regimen and trusting those people?
Yeah, I mean, number one, finding a coach is super important, depending upon what your goals are, right? So I love my Ironman coach. We've been together, God, I don't even know how long anymore. I mean, my husband and I have been together for 13 years. I think I've been with her for like 9 years now. So she knows me on like a very deeply intimate level. And, you know, I would say the first several years we were together, you know, I remember so specifically, I was like, I had such a bad day out there. And she's like, well, that's what you get for going to couch to race. And I was like, you know, I was like, what are you saying? And, you know, I really went back and looked at the prescription she gave me, you know, my training regimen. And there was like yellow, read, I like not fully committed clearly because I wasn't executing her workouts exactly how they were prescribed. So as soon as I went and bought all in, then my results started changing, right? And again, it's taking those baby steps. I'm like, well, first step is making these all green. Next step is, now going a little faster, eating a little better, sleeping a little better. So, that part is really important. So find a coach that fits with you. You guys are in alignment. So many coaches also find out how many people they are taking on. So another thing is if you got a coach that's like 50 clients, how much of a priority are you going to be? Are you in alignment with that person? Can this be a good working relationship for you and what you want? So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that, I really think that the mental aspect of coaching and mentorship is really important because, again, being intentional with your word, how we had talked about before, lots of people can say lots of really crazy things. So you have to be very careful about what you take in and use for yourself because you don't know 100% what everybody's credibility is.
Yeah, right.
So mentorship and those things are super important to me. And I would say if you don't have anybody that you look up to in your life, you really should have somebody like that.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. I was just thinking again about my dad. My dad is a person like that for me. He's always just one of those guys that if I need something, I can like call him and connect with him and he'll just listen.
Yeah.
And that for me is somebody who can be a really powerful mentor, is someone who's just there to listen to you.
Well, it's listening and then asking questions, thoughtful questions, right? Because it's like, how can you give me advice when you don't have the full picture? Like, obviously, when you, just verbal diarrhea on somebody, that's just, it's a very emotional thing, right? You're just like, what? And some people will just like grab onto that emotion and ride that. But, a good mentor and a good friend is going to be like, okay, now let's chill out. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about this. And then they make informed not informed judgment. They give informed opinions and informed advice, which is what you need. You don't emotion is just an explosion.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, you've traveled the world. You've done a lot of really neat things. What would you say is the most exciting, neat place that you've been through your travels?
I'm in love. Well, there's a few places I love. I love Nice, France. I love it. It is just such a beautiful place. The people are amazing. And if I could fast forward to retirement, I would have my bicycle and drink cappuccinos and eat their delicious pastries and just like live in the mountains on my bicycle and visit these mountain shops and drink coffee. So Nice is so beautiful. The ocean is so beautiful. They have rock beaches. They have a beautiful promenade that just goes up and down. And then you can go to Monaco. You can, what is that place? There's just so many places that you can access near Nice. And you could go to Paris. You can just bop around. So it has a really special place in my heart. If I could go there every year, I would. So That is one of my favorite places.
How was Finland?
I loved Finland. I've been there twice. Lahti, Finland specifically is kind of like, it's a lake town. And it was so funny because I was like, hey, what do you guys think about all these crazy foreigners being here? And one of the girls was like, we don't usually have tourists. So this is like very new for us. So they're very known for their ski jumping there. And it's like a very athletic place. So it was beautiful. But I think I'm done in Finland. It is actually the Alaska of Europe. So they have the 24-hour daylight in the summer, which was really fun because I did the race there last summer and we started at 3:00 in the afternoon and you came in and the sun was still out. So that was really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. What do you love about the Treasure Valley?
Oh my goodness. Area? Right? Everything. I fell in love with running in the foothills. So I think that is I'm like looking out there now. I'm like, oh, the pretty foothills. But the foothills here are extraordinary. And I really do feel like there's something that's super peaceful about being near the ocean, which I really like, and the sun. But there's something I want to say, I want to use the word godly, but I don't think that's the word spiritual about being in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
There's something very spiritual. It's like you're closer to whatever it is up there, and it just could be just altitude, but
Could be altitude and the amount of miles you've been running.
a little bit of everything. But
Yeah.
in the Treasure Valley, we've got the four seasons. It's stunning. So many people are active, and there's just something about getting out there and you see the deer and all the cows, the horses, all the stuff out there, and you just feel at one with the world. And it's everything is quiet. We're a city, but you can just get out and be one with nature, and it's so powerful and absolutely drop dead gorgeous.
It sure is. And I always keep thinking I'll run into you and Mike up in the bike trail here, but when I'm up above Eagle and I'm looking over the Treasure Valley, it's amazing how many trees there are. Right, the city of trees.
Yeah, it's we really love it. There's something for everybody. The lakes, the skiing, the hiking, biking, you
The
name
swimming.
it. It's all here.
Yeah.
It's all here. And the food, the downtown's becoming, more and more diverse. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. How about one last thought for people that are wanting to create bigger vision and create their goals and the life of their dreams? What would you say to them?
I think that I would say, we all have this thing that's called the reticular activating system. It's like right at the base of your head. And it basically is a filtration system of what is important to you and what you look for. So it's kind of like when you're shopping for a new car, you'll suddenly see that car constantly on the road, right? So, I think that, but this can also be negative. So if you're looking for bad things, you will naturally find those things. So if you're looking to change your life and you're looking to make things better for yourself, just be very conscious and aware of what you are putting in your mind. So it's like whenever I feel like I need something, I'm like, I need love, I need money, I need power, I need inspiration. If I start to feed my mind that, your brain will automatically start to look for those things. So just be aware and conscious, and then when you start to find and look for them, you'll constantly see abundance. And it takes a while to get to, but it just starts with that awareness of putting in your mind what you want. You will inherently find it, and then have good people around you, and life is good.
Right on. There's a few things I need right now, and I'm going to start putting those out into the world right
I'm
now.
telling you, it works. Okay, last little story for you, which is super weird. And I totally have gotten away from it, but I'm starting again because I realized I wasn't doing it. So in 2019, I was like the luckiest person on the planet because I told myself I won a $12,000 bike. I won a 3-night stay at the Fairmont Orchid in Hawaii. I won everything I put my name into. I would just win, 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 win. And it was stupid. But I always told myself that I was lucky. And if you look at videos and stuff, this stuff is true. If you tell yourself that you're winning things, you constantly will. It's the strangest thing.
I love it. Well, I'm going to start winning some things now. I mean, I feel like I won big by having you on this podcast today. I really do. And by meeting you, like I said at the very beginning, there are no accidents. Everything happens for a reason. And the day that my boys and I met you at the pool, like right away, my son was inspired by you. And then you just took the time to talk with us. And I thought, wow, this person she really genuinely cares, and she's up to some amazing things. And I hope that I have the chance to get to know her more. And wow, I put that out in the universe and it happened. And I'm like super grateful, Carolyn.
Well,
thank you.
Next, you're going to have to teach me some yoga. So that'll be on the checklist.
Dang right. Well, I'll tell you, the one meditation that I do all the time is really simple. It's one that I can do by myself. It's not guided. I do 5 to 10 minutes in the morning or 5 to 10 minutes in the evening or both. And it's called an anchoring and centering meditation. It may be similar to what you do. I'd be interested to know. But the main idea is that your body is your access to the present. And so what you'll do is you just sit in a comfortable position, right? And then you bring your awareness to a part of your body. It could be your breathing, or it could be your hands. I use my hands a lot because there's a lot of sensations in my hands. And then I just sit there for that period of time, and I notice when I lose connection to that part of my body. And when I lose connection to that part of my body, I just simply bring my awareness back to that part of my body over and over and over again. And what I've noticed in my practice of meditation over time is that I spend less time now in my head thinking about shit and more time in my body feeling. And that's really been how the practice has developed for me. It's been the most simple one that I can do. And I really like it because there are moments when I find some really quiet, peaceful time that I don't have otherwise. So anyway, that's the meditation that I go for.
I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's really, really important too, because so many people are actually extremely disconnected from their bodies.
Yeah, totally. They don't even realize like how important their body is. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally. All right. Well, hey everyone. Thank you so much for listening in to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. It's the official podcast of Spotted Dog Yoga and Sup, based out of Folsom, California. Play Hard and Love Big Radio is dedicated to bringing you the inspirational people and stories that will help you connect to your center so you can live a more passionate and purposeful life. And Carolyn Olsen, you have been one of those awesome, inspirational people. I'm so grateful that you took the time to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You got it, my friend. All right, everyone. You can check us out on YouTube too if you want to check out my beautiful face, or if you just think that I'm maybe better looking than I am, you know, you can always just listen to the audio. But check us out on YouTube and all the amazing podcast platforms that are out there. The more you share this, the more we get to make a difference in the world, and that makes us happy. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.